Hi everyone, Karen Swain here, teacher of deliberate creation, host of ATP Media, Accentuate Positive Media. I just got a fabulous show with Dr. Naza. We were talking about neuroscience and consciousness and empathy versus sympathy and mirror neurons and all sorts of fabulous things. But I thought while I've got my lippy on and the lights on, I would answer a question from someone that sent me an email. And if you've been watching my shows, I've been all up in the, saga that's going on in the US with the voting. And it's been interesting watching it and watching everyone's opinion and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, she asked me to do a show or a talk. I suppose I could do a whole show on it, but I thought I'd just address her question on judgments. On judgments. This is what she says. Her name's Debbie. Thanks for your email, Debbie. She says, "Hi, Karen. Thank you for your service. I've been on a spiritual path for a long time, as long as I can remember. You have an amazing way of teaching," thanks, Debbie, "and putting downloads of information in ways that I can understand. I was hoping that you could do a video about judgment. This is one area that I'm stuck on. I would love to get a better understanding on why we judge and how not to do this. I really don't want to judge anyone, but it's so hard for me to stop. I can't stand showing off or bragging of any kind. It's an area to me that I need to get aligned with. Thank you so much. Love you. Love your teachings. La, la, la." From Debbie in the United States. And I wrote back to her and I said, yeah, I'd love to do a show about that or a talk about that, because I think that's a brilliant thing to talk about. I've actually watched my daughter do the same thing when she sees really confident people or overly confident people that like to talk about themselves like, don't you think I'm fantastic? And I have to say I felt the same as a young person. So why do we judge? I've actually discussed this on the show before, but I'm going to go into it again. We get a strong emotional hit on anything we see in another when it actually lives in us, whether that is a emotional hit like, oh my God, I love you, or whether that's a hit like, oh, I can't stand you. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the guidance is showing us how powerfully this belief or probability lives in us. So when we see someone that we just adore and we go, oh, aren't they amazing? They're so amazing. Oh, I'd love to be like that. That's actually your emotional guidance or your soul speaking to you saying, you are like this. This is who you are. This is who you came to be. This is why you're here. So the more you revere somebody, the more that is you. And the more you hate somebody, the more that is you. So our emotional guidance is speaking to us all the time. So when we see something that we disapprove of or we don't like in another, so bragging, when you see someone bragging, why is that person bragging? There could be a couple of reasons. There could be that they're bragging because they feel unworthy or inferior, and so they're trying to convince you of their worthiness by bragging. So you're actually hearing their fear or their limiting belief speaking. Or they could be really confident and bragging about themselves because they think they're really good. And when you dislike that, or when you have a judgment on that, what you're hearing is your own judgment of yourself, that if I was to appear so confident and brag about myself, then how would people judge me? They would judge you. You're fearing their judgment because that's how you judge yourself. I'm not good enough to brag about myself. I can't tell people how great I am. That would be, the judgment is, that would be showing off. That's a judgment. That would be bragging. That's a judgment. And so when we get a strong emotional hit in seeing someone else and we have a judgment about them, it's actually a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. And so we can use our emotional guidance system to reflect on the beliefs that we're holding. And once we find those beliefs inside us, then we have an opportunity to look at them and to say, do I want to keep holding this? Is this true? Or is it time for me now to let it go, to transmute this? I think that, as I think about my daughter who hates people that brag, I think that was her, as it was for me, because, like mother, like daughter, we pick up the thought forms of our parents, whether we like it or not. What I thought what I thought when I was young, in knowing this, when I was studying this, I was thinking, right, well, if I clear up my ideas about myself, my limiting beliefs, then my daughter doesn't have to pick them up and take them on. But that actually didn't happen. As I cleared up my own ideas about myself, I saw her still indulging in the same fears that I used to have, and I'm thinking, But at the same time, me not indulging in those same fears or same limiting beliefs and ideas made it easier for her to transform her beliefs. But she's picked them up to work with. I've never seen anyone that has, she's never failed at anything in her life. So why she would feel a lack of confidence, I don't know. She's picked it up from me. She's picked it up from her family, her dad, our lineage, and she's carrying those thought forms. And often, I said to her once, this fear of failure or feeling like a failure, maybe consider it's not even yours. You're just carrying it around because it's been on your lineage. It's in your subconscious thought form because you've seen it or in your dad, or it's been passed on energetically. And maybe take it out of that subconscious thought form and have a look at it and say, gee, it's been a fun ride, this I'm not good enough fear of failure, but it's actually not mine. Thanks for the ride. See you later, and let it go. I really believe that in order to transmute anything, in order to transform and let go of something, you have to love it first, or at least appreciate it. Appreciation is a form of love. Be grateful for it, because what we resist persists. So I've seen so many people work on themselves, try and let go of ideas about themselves that they really don't want to be. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel like this. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. But the more you resist the idea within you, the more you hang on to it, because resistance is stuck energy. So what you resist persists. And when you can look at something and appreciate it for how it served you, like I wouldn't have known what it felt like to be a failure had I not had this limiting thought inside me that I thought was true. And in saying that, when I don't feel like a failure anymore and I feel like I've achieved something or that I'm a success, I'll understand success and achievement so much more because I've indulged in the energy of feeling like a failure. I remember I thought about this years ago when I was reading the Conversation with God books, and he was talking about this, the very concept. I can't remember exactly what was said in the books, but I was contemplating unsureness, not knowing. I was working as an energy healer and I was doing a lot of psychic stuff and going in and looking inside people's bodies and switching things around, and I was quite unsure if it was actually happening, if it was true, because we're taught that if you can't see it, taste it, smell it, hear it, in the physical realm, if you can't experience something with our 5 physical senses, then it's not a reality. So when you're experiencing psychic things, there can be an unsurety, there can be this lack of confidence. And I remember thinking, I wish I was more confident about this. I wish I was more confident about this. And then I had this little thought, my feeling not confident at the moment is the opposite of confidence. And so when I land on confidence, I'm going to know confidence in a way that I've never known before, because I've indulged in this feeling unsure and not confident. And as I had this thought, I had this thrill, this rush of energy like move through me as I started to appreciate feeling like I wasn't very confident and appreciated holding that energy. And it was from there that my confidence started to transform. And I remember I had a client who had pneumonia. And he was coming to me at the time. I was doing massaging and energy healing. He was coming to me weekly for massages, and he was going to the doctor to deal with his ammonia. And I thought I'd try out my newly medical intuitive skills and look inside his body, and had a look. And I told him that the pneumonia or the infection was in a specific lobe of his lung. And he said to me, no, the doctor said it's in another lobe. And I said, oh, which made me feel like I'm not very confident again. I got it wrong. I'm not doing it right. That lack of confidence just came up to visit me again. Anyway, he came back the next week. He said he went back to the doctor that week after our massage, and he had another x-ray. And I was right that the infection had moved to another lobe of his lung, and it was exactly where I'd said it was. And it gave me that rush of evidence that what I had seen psychically was right. And I thought, whoa. And again, that rush of confidence felt so good because I had indulged in not feeling confident. So getting back to judgment, don't judge yourself for judging. Just know that when you're judging someone for bragging, how do you feel if you start to tell people how great you are? Do you feel like people are going to judge you as harshly as you're judging them? I remember I had this epiphany when I was younger, 20 odd years ago, 25, doing a personal growth course. There was a woman that stood up several times during the course to complain about her husband. And in my head, I was screaming out, oh, shut down, sit down, you silly woman. I'm sick of hearing you complain about your husband. Oh my God, you're driving me crazy. I wish you'd shut up. This was in my head, right? I was judging her mercilessly. I was being so mean to her in my head. And then we went to lunch. And during the lunch break, I was exhausted from all the judgment, because holding negative thought pinches off your energy. Pinches off energy as in source energy. It also pinches off vitality energy, chi energy, and a component of source energy. And I was exhausted at lunch, and I was sitting there contemplating. Everyone's yakking, talking, and I was thinking, why am I being so critical of this woman? Why am I being so harsh on this woman? And then I had this realization that the most terrifying thing I could do was to stand up in front of a crowd of, I don't know, there were quite a few people, maybe 170, 80 people, and speak personally and like share my personal stuff in front of a crowd of people. To me, that was the most terrifying thing I could do at the time. I've changed now, of course, chatting to you. But I thought, wow, why am I so scared of that? Like, why does that terrify me? Public speaking, fear of public speaking. And then I thought about it and I realized that I was scared of people judging me as harshly as I had judged her. And it just hit me. And I thought, whoa, I get it. Wow. I'm so critical of this woman. All she's doing is sharing of her heart and sharing her concerns. She stood up quite a few times to say the same thing, but she was seeking help, and we were in a personal growth workshop, and she was brave enough to stand up in front of a crowd of people and open up her heart and her mind and share her problems. It was courage. It was courage that I didn't have. I did not have the courage to do that because I was so scared that people would think what I was thinking about her. So I made a commitment that lunchtime that I would put myself in front of a crowd of people and I would share of myself personally. Oh my God, I was so scared of doing that. Anyway, at the end of this course, they were recruiting people to come to the course, and they have this big gathering where they ask you to invite 2 or 3 people to come along to hear about the course. And I had invited a few people, and everybody else did too. So the room was filled with hundreds of people, like a lot. I don't know how many, 500, 600. Anyway, there was a lot of people there. And I placed myself in the front row of this particular event. And I had made this commitment that I was going to stand up in front of a group of people and share personally. And I ended up being right in front of the speaker's podium, and there were people speaking about the courses and trying to sell the courses to the people that had come, and they were asking people to stand up and share their experience doing the course. And of course, there I was in the front row, and I tentatively put my hand up, hoping that she didn't pick me. And of course, I'm right in the front row. So she goes, yeah, you, because, it's easy just for someone to stand up. And I'm like, oh my God, here's my chance. So I stood up in front of hundreds of people, and shaking like a leaf and my voice breaking, I shared my experiences. It makes me cry thinking about it. I shared my experiences of what I had got out of the course. It was terrifying. It was only terrifying to me because I was believing my stressful thoughts, which was people are going to judge me as harshly as I judged this poor woman. And who knows what they thought. Oh, ghosts in the house. Strange. Something happened. Who knows what they thought. They might have loved me. They might have hated me. But just like I said to you before, your judgment of another has nothing to do with them. It's everything to do with you. And people's judgment of you has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. People can love you and people can hate you. And it has nothing to do with you. They see what lives in them. Life is 365 degrees of mirrors. We really only get to experience what we believe to be true inside us. We are projecting our consciousness onto the world. And and so what do you want to see? That's what I came to. I want to see beauty. I want to love people. I want to see brilliance. I want to see the hearts and soul of everyone I meet. I want to be more connected to my soul, to my higher self, to my divine presence, to my source. So when I look out into the world, I'm going to look for that inside of the rhetoric of people's stories about themselves and the world. I want to see their soul. I want to see their divinity. I want to see the pure positive energy that they are, the unconditional love that we all are. I want to see it in me, and I want to see it in them. So judgment is a distortion from your alignment with your source. And loving something and appreciating something is coming back into alignment with the divinity and the truth of who you are. And so you can look out into the world and you can see angry people on television yelling and screaming and arguing their points of view, maybe a point of view that you don't agree with. Can you look upon this person? And life's giving us plenty of opportunities at the moment to do that with people, on the internet screaming about what's happening in the world, both politically and globally and in our health. And can you look upon someone who has a very strong point of view that's completely the opposite of what you think? And can you see their divinity? Can you see them as an extension of the source, as a soul electing to experience their dimensionality, as a courageous soul that is here at this time on earth, willing to explore separateness and what it is to feel fearful or to feel separate. Separate to what? Separate to love, separate to source, separate to you, separate to me. Willing to do that and love them for that. Like, wow, love them for that. Pick someone you really hate. Could be a public figure. It could be a family member. Pick someone you really hate and look at them and try to see their divinity. Don't try. Look for their divinity and see the love that exists within them through the smokescreen of the ego and the personality. And the more you do that, the more you'll fall in love with yourself and the more you'll be connected to your own source of divinity. You will embody the higher self that has no judgment, that just enjoys the show. My guides are looking out, on the play, on the human play that's happening, that's unfolding in our world at the moment. And they're just loving the ride. They take no sides, right or wrong, which candidate is the best candidate for the the upliftment of our world, they take no sides. They love the play, the Leela, the play of the divine in human form. And just like Angela said, the beautiful Angela Anderson, who I put into the Inner Sanctum, said that, love has won. Only love is real. Regardless of what you see in your world, just know that love has won. Love always wins. And just like Naza and I discussed in the show we've just done today, just recorded today, sometimes when life looks the worst, it can be the biggest blessing or the best gift we've ever had. Yeah. So try and shift your point of view. Look at something you disagree with and try and find the perfection in it. Try and see the beauty in it. What's it teaching you about yourself? So that's what I've got to say about judgment. Judge not, yet ye be judged. Oh my God, well, who am I quoting there? I don't know. What I see is me. And then when I see something I disagree with, is that how I want to stay? Now I've got an opportunity when I own it to transform it, to transmute it. And that's what you're here to do. You're here to transmute fear to love. That's what we're all up to as light weavers at the moment, is transformation, transcending the limitation and living into infinite possibility. The better you feel, the more infinite the possibility becomes, the more expanded the possibility becomes. Thank you, everyone who has been watching the shows, and thanks for listening to this. I hope this helps you understand judgment better. And thanks for your comments and for sharing the shows and subscribing. And if you want to talk to me, send me an email or leave a comment or all that good stuff. Love you all. Bye for now.